Week 4, day 5. In your workbook, it's titled The Prophets Continued. Okay, this is our last day in the Old Testament, so we're going to hit the remaining 11 books. Just like yesterday, these books aren't presented in the same order they're presented in the table of contents in your Bible. Angie Smith has grouped them more by when they were written. All right, so first up today, we have the two foreign missionary prophets, Obadiah, who preached to Edom. Edom was where the descendants of Esau lived. Remember Esau, Jacob's older brother? All right, so we also have Nahum, who he preached to Nineveh. All right, Nineveh was where Jonah had preached 150 years earlier. We talked about him yesterday. All right, also yesterday we covered the first two of the major prophets. We covered Isaiah and Jeremiah. All right, so today we're going to do the other two of the major prophets, and that's Ezekiel and Daniel. All right, Ezekiel was the wild prophet. He was very dramatic. He would have definitely talked with his hands, so I would have gotten along well with him. And Ezekiel preached about God's judgment, and he preached while the Jews were in exile. So did Daniel. Daniel and his friends are probably best remembered for places that they were thrown into that they managed to survive, like the lion's den and the fiery furnace. Daniel remained faithful to God in exile in the face of enormous personal danger. All right. The little book of Joel. All right, this is a minor prophet book. It's short. It's wedged in our Bible right at the beginning of the minor prophets, but we have no idea where it actually goes, where it was written. It's written during a locust plague, but we're not told any dates or anything in it to be able to figure it out. But it's about restoration. Excellent little book. All right, so once the Hebrews returned from exile, Haggai and Zechariah both urged and preached the rebuilding of the temple. All right, so in your workbook at this point, it jumps back to pick up three books that we didn't cover earlier that are in our Bibles and the table of contents right after the history but before the poetry, and these are Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. Okay, so Ezra preached to restore worship in the temple. All right, if you remember, the Babylonians had destroyed the temple when they captured the Israelites, the last of them, when they captured Judah, the nation of Judah, and they destroyed the temple that Solomon had built. So when the Jews come back from exile, they rebuild the temple, but on a smaller scale. Nehemiah leads the rebuilding of the wall around Jerusalem, and Esther was the Jewish queen of Persia, and she stopped an attempt to wipe out all the Jews there in Persia. All right, so that brings us to the last book of the Old Testament, the prophet Malachi. Malachi is preaching after the temple has been rebuilt. This is the same temple that Jesus will visit as a boy. And as a matter of fact, in Malachi chapter 3, there's the most beautiful little prophecy. The Lord you are seeking will come to his temple. Okay, and he will. He did. He does. Okay, but that's next week in the New Testament. So you did it. You did the Old Testament in 4 weeks. Yay, you.